Well, for the first time in human history, an ICBM has left the parade ground and actually been used in combat. Here we go. We'll watch them come in together here on the horizon. Very fast. Look at that. There's no stopping that, you guys. And each one of those warheads can be programmed for a different target. So there you go. The first weapon of that type to be used in combat happened today in Ukraine. Russian strikes on Dnipro before dawn using what appears to be an MIRV warhead attached to an ICBM. But what's that stand for, Johnny? Well, that's Multiple Independent Reentry Vehicle, and it was mounted on an intercontinental ballistic missile, although that's in dispute right now. According to Putin, this was a new type of intermediate range ballistic missile instead. And it was, they had hypersonic conventional weapons mounted on it this time. Like I said, this time. Next time, maybe nuclear. So these fragments in the atmosphere, they fragment in the atmosphere into a dozen submunitions, each of which can be programmed to hit a different target. The video does indeed show the process by which separate warheads hit different targets, which strongly suggests that an MIRV was used. Once again, that's Multiple Independent Reentry Vehicle. So that just has multiple warheads on it. And like I said, each one can be targeted for a different location. So as of 6:58 this morning, Eastern Time, that's when the news came in that Russia fired the ICBM at Ukraine and says that the new U.S. base in Poland is now a priority target for destruction. Yes, and in fact, I'm going to skip around here a little bit, guys. Russia now says, or Putin says, which means, he speaks for Russia, obviously, that they feel entitled to strike the nations giving weapons to Ukraine. So that would include all the nations in NATO throughout Europe and, of course, the United States itself, the continental United States. And like it says, we consider ourselves entitled now because to use hypersonic weapons against facilities of those countries that allow their weapons to be used against Russian facilities, meaning the U.S. and NATO. Those are the words of Russian President Putin in televised remarks today from the Kremlin in Moscow. And here's a video showing him making those remarks.
Напомню, Россия добровольно в одностороннем порядке взяла на себя обязательство не развертывать ракеты средней и меньшей дальности до тех пор, пока американское оружие подобного рода не появится в каком-либо регионе мира. Повторю, испытания в боевых условиях ракетной системы «Орешник» проводятся нами в ответ на агрессивные действия стран НАТО в отношении России. Вопрос о дальнейшем развертывании ракет средней и меньшей дальности будет решаться нами в зависимости от действий США и их сателлитов. Объекты для поражения в ходе дальнейших испытаний наших новейших ракетных комплексов будут определяться нами, исходя из угроз безопасности Российской Федерации. Мы считаем себя вправе применять наше оружие против военных объектов тех стран, которые позволяют применять свое оружие против наших объектов.
There we go. That's a new type of missile, guys, as he just said, that they're testing out on Ukraine and soon to be NATO countries as well. And nuclear attack warnings were triggered this morning, as Russia's ICBM launch at Ukraine this morning triggered early warning systems, apparently, as such launches are, by default, assumed to be nuclear. So for a short time, the U.S. and Europe thought Russia was nuking Ukraine. They only knew that it was not nuclear by checking to see if the city of Dnipro was still physically there after the impacts. Essentially, if Russia decides to nuke Ukraine, the West will watch because they can do nothing other than that. A second important thing to note, Russia has proven it can deliver a conventional or nuclear payload to any place without a problem, which brings us back to Putin's address to his nation just hours ago. NATO member countries have already supplied weapons being used to strike Russia. Among those weapons have been tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, rockets, missiles, speedboat bombs, and drones, Navy ships, and more. I mean, we could keep going, right? The United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, and other nations have long ago provided such weapons that have been, and still are, used to attack interior Russia. Yeah, don't forget about the white phosphorus and the anti-personnel mines and the cluster bombs and all the other illegal munitions that they sent over there to be used up as well. And Russia has announced now announced that they are entitled to strike, seems the clearest indication yet that utterly massive escalation is coming in very short order. Not necessarily in Ukraine, but on the territories of the countries who have been supplying weapons. So like I just showed you, Poland, that shiny new base that you just opened up this month is probably going to be gone and destroyed by the end of the month. So there you go. That shiny new base ain't going to be shiny for long. Russia's already put it on the target list and made a public announcement of it. And that's just one of the targets that they may take out. Germany, I would expect you're on the list too, because that's a major weapons hub for all the things that have been going into Ukraine. So I'm sure Germany will be struck as well. And who knows from there? United States, North America, your days are coming too. Just saying. So this Ukraine war is now becoming a global war after Western long-range weapons used against Russia. And that's according to Putin. As he confirmed, Kiev has launched long-range missile strikes against military facilities located within internationally recognized Russian territory. That's what he said as he began that televised address I showed you a clip from. He confirmed that British-made Storm Shadows and U.S.-made HIMARS were fired at targets located in Bryansk and Kursk regions. He said this action threatens to turn the Ukraine conflict into a global war. That's really all that needs to be said, but we'll keep going. A regional Ukraine conflict instigated by the West has acquired elements of a global one, Putin spelled out, and noted that these systems cannot be used without the direct operational involvement of Western military specialists, which has been the case since the beginning of the war. So just now that they've suddenly announced and made it official, the West did, by saying, oh, yes, we're going to let Ukraine use all the long-range missiles that they want. Now, finally, Russia decides to say enough is enough. You have to ask yourself why now and why not before, over the last almost 3 years that this conflict has been going on. Just saying. Like I've said many times, guys, they're following a playbook here. And now the playbook says it's time to use nukes. It's time to escalate this thing. So, wow. And according to reports here from U.S. specialists, this may not have been an actual intercontinental ballistic missile, but U.S. officials are saying it appears to be a new intermediate range ballistic missile and not an ICBM, which was targeted at the central city of Dnipro. The New York Times has reported in a follow-up of the attack that several Western officials said that the weapon was not an ICBM and instead was likely an intermediate range missile that flies shorter distances. Either way, they can't stop it. Zelensky himself had claimed Russia used a new class of missile. All the parameters, speed, altitude, match those of an intercontinental ballistic missile, he said. All expert evaluations are underway, but U.S. defense officials are contradicting this. A senior U.S. official said the weapon appeared to be an intermediate range ballistic missile, but he also added it is a new type that we've been tracking, and U.S. officials call it an experimental missile. There's also been some quibbling among experts as to how to characterize the projectiles which were observed hitting Ukraine at incredibly high rates of speed in terms of rocket size and distance. Assuming Washington is correct and it wasn't an ICBM, this suggests Zelensky's hasty verdict is all about threat inflation, coming at a time he's desperately trying to get the West's attention, arguing in favor of greater NATO military intervention against Russia, which he's already got. And now Russia says even the UK is a party to the war. See, I've got that posted here in Telegram somewhere. There it is. Russia has declared that the United Kingdom is now directly involved in a war with Russia because of the Storm Shadow missiles being used. They're from Great Britain, so now they're included on the target list. And I saw a post yesterday by a Russian source that said it would only take 3 ICBMs to destroy the entire civilization of the UK because it's essentially just a big island. They have nowhere to go. And they're right, at least to a point. So anyway, it's just going to escalate from here, guys. And don't forget, we still have Israel and Iran sitting there on a slow burn as well. So that one could also escalate at any given moment. So head on the swivel as always, prayed up and prepped up at all times. Prayed up first, guys, because that is the best preparation you can make. You don't know when your step into eternity is going to happen, and you want to make sure you're going to spend it in the right place. So prayed up and prepped up at all times, like we always say. Now, wanted to show you this pronews.gr website. because it brings up a very important point that I came across this morning. I tried to translate this to English like I always do. And once again, Google is blocking that ability to do that here in America. So the only way I could do it was to log into my NordVPN through an Argentina server so I could actually get an English translation of the Greek website, which just confirmed other things that I'd already been showing you. So in order to do that, I had to have NordVPN. And we are now affiliated with NordVPN here at don'tspeaknews.com. And right now, for the next few days, you can get 74% off and 3 extra months for free by signing up through our link. And like I said, if you sign up through our link here at don'tspeaknews.com, we get a small affiliate commission and it helps support the website and keep us on the air. So all you have to do is go to don'tspeaknews.com. And while you're here, just click on why choose NordVPN. And I've got an entire article written for you here that shows you why you should have it and why it's important. And the fact that it's rated the best is also important. PCA Mag rates it excellent. Editor's Choice for VPN for 2 years in a row. Forbes says it's the best VPN overall, and Wired says it's the best VPN product for general use. And I like it just because it's simple and easy to use and it's always on. And it's fast. You never have to worry about lag times. And even in places like Argentina, which is where I logged in today, so I could get the English translation of the Greek website. And that's just one reason I use it. I don't like them to track me either. I don't like to make it easy for them. So get NordVPN today. You'll be glad you did, especially when you save 74% and get 3 months free. And that is it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.